Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and today is a glorious day to be a tank player in Overwatch 2 because the mid-season patch came out with not only the Porsche collapse skin set, but more importantly, the massive tank buff. Now, tank heroes aren't the only ones that got changed. There were some DPS changes and some support changes. One support change so today I'm just going to be going over the patch notes and talk about each individual hero change and what might happen to that hero in the meta. But in tomorrow's video, I'm going to compare and contrast the mid-season patch to the beginning of the season 10 heroes and really show what tank benefited the most from these changes. But before we look at the tank changes, let's look at the general changes first. These are going to be changes applied to all tank, damage, and support heroes. First and foremost, armor health has been reverted, where now there's going to be a flat damage reduction of 5 per projectile. This is going to be up to a maximum damage reduction of 50%. Now, the second general change is going to be for out of combat health regeneration, you know, the passive that all heroes have now. Well, previously every hero passively healed themselves from 20 health per second, but now it's going to be 10 health per second plus 5% of the hero's maximum health. And I know that might sound a little bit confusing because you're having to do math, so here's just a quick chart of all of the regenerative passive health that you gain based on the health. Now, this is only going to be a nerf for heroes named Baby, d.va, and Tracer, because everybody else is getting a slight health boost out of combat for 5 seconds. This change is really going to be felt by tank players because they have the most amount of health, but on top of that, there's also going to be 2 additional role passive changes for just tank heroes. And the changes are going to be where tanks now have a 25% damage reduction against critical headshot damage. And the change that is going to be less popular but still very powerful is that they're also going to be having a knockback resistance increase from 30% to now 50%. So Pharah's, Lucio's, Brigitte's, also Soldier 76's, and Ash's, and Cassie's, basically anyone that can boop or do a bunch of damage in a rapid session are gonna feel like tanks are just raid bosses. These changes are really good. Something that tank players have been begging for the longest time because they just felt like bullet sponges, but not like a scrub daddy bullet sponge, but like a dollar store bullet sponge. But could these changes be a little bit too much? And that's what a lot of people are kind of foreshadowing. And I even just said a couple of seconds ago is that tank heroes are gonna be raid bosses, are gonna be unkillable beasts because they just absorb so much damage. Even if you're doing good damage, good as in getting headshots with like soldiers and tracers and any hero that can get headshots, you're not really doing that much damage. I mean, you are, but you're not. But that's really only applied to the armor tanks like Reinhardt and Orisa and d.va. They're really gonna feel the buffs, but when it comes to shield tanks like Sigma and Zarya, not so much because, well, the benefit really comes from having armor, whereas the only benefit that they're really gonna be feeling is the 25% damage reduction when it comes to headshots. And in a world where shield regenerates by itself, it shouldn't matter, but at the same time, now armor does self-regenerate. So really, I think the meta is gonna be overtaken by a majority of armor tanks like Reinhardt, like Orisa, like d.va. Not so much because that they're good tanks, but because that they're unkillable tanks. And for Reinhardt, that's fine. I mean, lots of people love having Reinhardt meta, but when Orisa's meta, it's gonna be a bad time. But there's also some individual tank changes that, I'll be real, I don't think are really gonna find their way into the tank meta with the exception of one, but these tanks are gonna be the Junk Queen, Sigma, Wrecking Ball, and Zarya. Now for the Junk Queen, she's gonna be getting 2 changes to her commanding shout ability, where the first one is a very good quality of life change where you can now activate commanding shout when you're using other abilities, and the second one is reducing the cooldown for a commanding shout from 14 seconds to 12 seconds. This is a great change because, well, not only does it make actual sense being able to use a shout ability when swinging an axe, but you also are able to use the reason why Junk Queen is so good, being able to group your team together and push in. But you have to remember, Junk Queen doesn't have any armor, so I don't really think Junk Queen is going to be all that good for the rest of the season because, well, if you want to get damage done and you want to absorb damage, play like a Reinhardt or somebody. The next change is going to be for Sigma's ultimate ability, where you no longer have to have line of sight to the center of the effect of the ultimate. This, I think, is to prevent a lot of like Honest sleeping you or Sigma's rocking you or just anyone that can CC you out of your ultimate, because it is relatively easy to CC Sigma out of his ult because he has no protection when he's up in the air. He can't throw his shield to stop a hook or anything like that, so that's great. But remember, Sigma doesn't have any armor, so is he really going to be relevant in Season 10? Maybe for slower push poke comps, but remember, armor is going to be everything when it comes to tanks in Season 10. Now, the next tank that I think is going to be extremely relevant in Season 10 is Wrecking Ball, because on top of the general changes and tank changes, Wrecking Ball is also getting 4 buffs. First and foremost, his grappling claw, the impact damage is going to increase from 50 to 60, a minute change, but his pile driver, the movement lock duration whenever he slams onto an enemy is going to increase from 0.5 seconds to 0.75 seconds, so another small change, but still a good buff nonetheless. And his minefield, oh my god, his minefield's getting buffed, where the damage per individual mine is getting increased from 130 to 165. If you need a refresher, he has a total of 15 mines in total. Oh yeah, each mine also has a knockback increase from 5 to now 10, so you're basically gonna be hitting 1 or 2 of these mines every single time. Hammond, I honestly think, benefits the most out of every single tank because of his play style. He's gonna be regenerating health a little bit quicker, his armor is gonna be a little bit more beefier, and he's just better as a hero. Yeah, I think Hammond's gonna be decent. Maybe not the best, but decent. The final tank getting changed is gonna be Zarya, and she's gonna be getting 2 ultimate changes, where the first one, they're gonna be increasing the radius from 6 meters to 7 meters of that black hole, and the duration is getting increased by 0.5 seconds. Previously it was 3.5, now it's 4 seconds. This is a good change, but I feel like Zarya's really only gonna be relevant if they have an enemy d.va, because Zarya can just counterplay her. So those were the tank changes and the individual tank changes, but now we've reached the DPS heroes that are getting changed, which is Junkrat, Echo, and Hanzo, and these aren't gonna be that exciting. I'm just letting y'all know. So for Junkrat, they're gonna be increasing the impact damage of his frag launcher from 40 damage to now 45, in total having an increase from 120 to 125. Yay, 5 extra damage. I guess you're able to kill a squishy hero now, which is actually, now that I think of it, is actually a pretty good buff when you think of it in a vacuum, where 2 shots from his grenade can kill a squishy hero, but a shot and a C4 still can't insta-delete a hero, which is why Junkrat was good before. The next DPS here that's getting changed is Echo, where they're going to be buffing her duplicate ultimate, where they're going to be buffing the ultimate gain multiplier after you copy somebody from 4 to now 4.5 multiplied. This is really simple to understand. Basically, they're just trying to help you get an ultimate a little bit quicker, because oftentimes it was very easy to copy somebody and get killed as Echo. And the final DPS here that's going to change is Hanzo. No, what did they do to buff him? Oh, they only buffed the speed of his Dragon Strike, increasing it from 12 meters per second to now 15 meters per second. Yay! He still can't one-shot! Let's go! Look, I know this is still a buff for Hanzo, but I'm still a Hanzo hater. He's still gonna be trash because he still can't one-shot headshot, which is fine, because I hate this dude. But to end this video off, let's look at the support heroes that are getting changed, which is gonna be Brigitte and Brigitte. And no, she's not getting 3 total changes. She's only getting 1 to her rally ultimate ability, where now when you activate it, it resets the cooldown to her shield bash ability, which is a great change for Brigitte. And on top of that, the armor change is fantastic. It's still one of those things where it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think Brigitte is really gonna be all that relevant like she has been for months now. I really haven't seen Brigitte at all in my games, actually. But those are all the hero changes in Season 10, and let me know what you think about them, especially you non-tank players. Like, are you scared of the tank hero changes? Because they're gonna be monsters, but how powerful? We're just gonna have to see. But until then, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.